Now we review The Apprentice, not the real Apprentice, which was a TV show with me, Donald Trump, but the fake Apprentice, which is a movie that was released in 2024. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I have seen The Apprentice. I guess it's kind of silly to watch it after the election, but I did not come into contact with it before the election, and it is a dramamentary. I believe it runs from Donald Trump being a lackey for his father, essentially, up until the contracting of the ghostwriter for The Art of the Deal, or the writer for The Art of the Deal, or some kind of a Trump biography. I'm not dead sure. They're kind of ambiguous with it, but it basically details Trump's rise to power. And before I go any further, let me, of course, remind you that for every 1,000 subscribers I get, I purchase one of these bracelets from 4Ocean. 4Ocean pulls a pound of trash out of the ocean every time I do that. I'm giving you an opportunity to do something good for the world. And, you don't have to pay for it, which is a good thing right now because a lot of us don't have money. Anyway, so there are two kinds of people, three kinds of people who would be interested in this movie to begin with. The Trump camp, the anti-Trump camp, and the oblivious. And, there's a lot of oblivious people out there. So, to you in the Trump camp, Donald Trump hates this movie. He called it a, horrible assassination hack job made by scum. So those people, either you're going to stop watching now, or you're interested in this as a piece of art, not a piece of reporting. Now, I have not heard anyone other than Donald Trump complaining about the accuracy of this film. And you would assume that people close to Trump would complain about the accuracy of this film if it were inaccurate. Okay? It's one of those things about truly inaccurate films is that there tends to be a lot of criticism about them. The Amy Winehouse piece was very criticized for its lack of accuracy. But that's just not what I've seen. All right? So, as an art piece, you have Donald Trump and his relationship with Roy Cohn. And Donald Trump comes to Roy Cohn as essentially he's an errand boy for his father. He's the man that goes and collects the rent. You see him being a harsh and evil man who runs a slum. And, there's this pivotal scene in the beginning, or telling scene in the beginning, where this old woman is, giving him the rent, and he's saying, you're late with the rent, it happens again, you're gone. And there's, a scene later in the film that mirrors that scene where the situations are reversed. Banks are saying, Donald, you need to pay your loans. That's the world we live in. And it's like, I'm subject, and he's saying, my credit's good, don't worry. So it's this dichotomy where here is a man, it's like, if you push the subject, this old woman goes and has to sleep on the street. And if you, and then later on in life, here it is, you're a rich man who's going to become more rich, and you think that trumps little old lady. So I'm not making the moral statement there. That's just what the film is bringing out. And, you as a person have to ask yourself, what does that mean? Now, again, view this as an art film, a piece of art, not as a docudrama. And that is very telling, and it does permit you to give your own conclusions. But there are a lot of somewhat ambiguous scenes in this where it shows perhaps Donald Trump being a real slime ball and the kind of person who should be behind bars. All right? This is a movie. Understand that this is still fiction. The person in this movie doesn't look anything like Donald Trump. It details the relationship with his first wife. Eric and Don Jr. are briefly seen here. How Donald Trump treated his father and his family, and how the death of his brother impacted him. But his family, I mean, he comes from some really harsh people. He came into contact with some really harsh people, initially trying to I think to protect his family. Really, when you look at what he's doing, there's a lawsuit claiming the Trump organization is racist, and they say, look, we rent to black people, but we require that they make 4 times what we charge in rent. Okay, so they require that 25% of your income is the equivalent of your rent. Now, the interesting thing about that is that at no point was it said this requirement was based on anyone other than black people. So that's racism. I mean, it implies racism. If the requirement is only for black people, that is called racism. If the requirement was for everyone, that's not racism, that's just business, okay? It may be disproportionately harmful to black people, but I mean, so long as everybody is given the same rule, then that's, that is technically legal. I'm trying to withhold my disgust of this character, because again, there's no 100%, like, this is not 100% what happened. But anyway, it shows that Roy Cohn, who apparently had a homoerotic relationship with Trump, it's never said that they had sex, but it is implied that Roy Cohn was coming on to Donald Trump. And, their relationship was very strong, then it had a falling out, and then it came back. And it's, again, never explicitly said that Roy Cohn had AIDS. But I do know that liver cancer was code for AIDS when it came to rich people. So that's just, it's one of those things. So look, this is not a movie that draws conclusions. It is a movie with an existentialist theme that exposes concepts. If you look at it, Roy Cohn, at least in the film, was a vicious sleazeball who hurt whoever he had to hurt to get what he wanted. And he made Donald Trump, again in the film, a vicious sleazeball who hurt whoever he wanted to hurt in order to get what he wanted. And indeed, in the end, you're left to ask yourself, what are the motivations behind the actions, and are the actions justifiable? So, where does this movie leave us? Well, as a piece of art, I have to say, it's existential and it's solid. It belongs in the upper half of your watch list. Right? I don't know how accurate this movie is, and I'm not going to say this is an accurate portrayal of Donald Trump. It is not my place to say that. I am a film critic, and I'm trying to rate a film. And I rate it high in the watch list because I feel it's a very telling piece. It's done on a shoestring budget. I mean, I think it was something like $12 million, where it's only made like $11 million back at the box office. But if you want a solid film depicting the horror of our society, which is a thing I'm very invested in, this is a great film for that. I mean, I almost wish they pulled a Citizen Kane and didn't say that this person was Donald Trump and Roy Cohn, because then, you could really look at this movie from a very different standpoint. But they did make it Roy Cohn. They did make it real people. And, it's like Donald Trump is depicted as being a really bad person, particularly to his first wife. And then you have to ask yourself, well, it does seem like his first wife still has a relationship with him. Not necessarily a positive one, but a relationship of some kind. So what gives? Well, I mean, it's actually true that a lot of women have had relationships with their date rapists after the rape. You know, it's one of those things, that particular level of violation comes with a certain desire for denial, a wish that it didn't happen. So yeah, that it is plausible. So, again, I would say that this is an excellent film that is a portrayal of real life. It is a portrayal of things that happen in real life. I don't know if it's autobiographic or it's biographical or not. I'm not hearing a lot of complaints on that part, but it is a portrayal of how people are. And it's ugly and it's depressing. I think we should all watch it. So high on the watch list, but that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours down in the comments below. I'm Richard. Sergeant Duck says, I am wearing bracelets from the company 4Ocean. They are not part of my regulation uniform, but they are bling that pulls 1 pound of trash out of the ocean for every one purchased. This channel will purchase one for every 1,000 subscribers. Obey your Sergeant Duck and comment, like, and subscribe.